Okay, so finally, we get to finish what we started a couple of videos ago. Those edges look nice now. I'm happy with that. So we have our mask, and we have it set up to the color. And we have it turned off right now. I'm just going to make it a little smaller. And so let's take a look at what we have going on to refamiliarize ourselves. So we currently have it set at 0, and as we bring this up to 1, we start to get our metal, what's going to be our metal veins appearing on the material. Okay, so that's the color. Next down the line, we have the normals. We kind of took care of that also. The height map we're going to leave alone. I'm going to get rid of that. And now we get to our roughness map. So as current, well, let's turn it off a moment. So we bring this down to 0. Oh, you know what we didn't do? Those normals, we need to be able to shut them on and off. So really how we're going to do that is just by this opacity, because it's just laying on top of it. Now, we could go in here and make an empty function and then add a node, variable, get float, and then get the parameter we made and set it as our output. Or we can also do it the easy way. I'm going to clear this. I can also, if I come in here, it's also going to give me a list of any of the functions that I have available to me that fit the criteria, in which case this is a float 1. So it's going to show me all the float 1s available. So I can do a function time, or I have metal veins available. And if I do this, it's actually done exactly what we took, I don't know, 4 or 5 steps to do before. So now we've set that, and if we go back into our metal veins, that normal is now going to appear and disappear according to the slider. Great. Okay, so that works. And next down the line, we have our roughness. So this is what we have as the roughness overall, this map right here. And we're going to do exactly the same thing to it that we did with the other guys up top there. So we have this as our background. We have this as our mask. And then I'm also, since this is, a grayscale, it's black and white, which is really all I want. If I wanted more subtlety, I could also, in fact, let's do that. Instead of using this, I'm going to use the sort of the general mask, but then I'm going to put a levels node in here, and it's going to allow me to change the tonality of the one on top according to, we're not even looking at the right one now, according to that mask. So I can get things shiny and not shiny just by using, I think it's level out high. Yeah, level out high. However, as our metal gets more metal, we actually need this number to go down, not up. Up until now, all of these functions that we've been making, it's working in the same direction. This one actually has to work in the opposite direction. It's not that complicated. Come in here and go into empty function. And we're going to need that variable. So I'll get my metal veins. And then we're going to do some math. If I subtract metal veins from the number 1, and I set that as my output node, now it's actually going to give me the flip, because it's subtracting it from 1. So 0 from 1 is 1, and then as this moves up, it's actually going in the opposite direction and getting shinier as that metal begins to come in. And then we only really need, you know what we also need to do is probably hook it up. Oh, that's much better. There you go. And now the only thing we need to do is to get the metallic to go away as we lower the number down. And that's a straight, again, I think the simplest way is probably, did not mean to do that. The simplest way to do that, I think, is to have it, no, not even, just do an opacity with over black. That'll solve. I mean, there's a million ways to make this one work. I'm just trying to think of the simplest one. And we kind of do the same thing that we did with this opacity. In fact, we can even copy this. Oh, I thought we had something more attached to that. Let's just go ahead and do that then. We'll just set that up. Okay. So let's check it out. This should actually do all of it. We come in here. Let's make it bigger. We come in here. We've got the slider. This is so frustrating. That we can now move down, and as we do it, the veins become less pronounced and less shiny, and we can have them kind of barely there, and then they disappear. So I was looking at this. I'd like to fine-tune my roughness map a little bit more. I want to bring out, if I can, like these little nodule things. So I think I'm going to go back once more into the Photoshop and take a look at this mask here, which I really should have called bump. I'm going to merge those two. So this is what we're dealing with now, and those little nodules we're getting from the color version. So I'm going to bring up the color version into here because we're using the painterly one, and up until now we've been using the grayscale masks from the photo version. So I'm going to go ahead and make a grayscale out of this one. Yeah, probably like that. And then do some levels on it. So right now, first I'm going for tonalities, and then I'll be going for the colors overall. I do want it a bit, I want it a bit chunkier than the one we had before. Okay. A little bit more contrast. Probably like that. And let's save this as the one that we called normal. Okay. This is normal, yeah. Oh, you know why? Also, this is set really low. So let's set this up to 5. That's maybe a bit too much. I don't know. I think by itself, I don't know if I think I'm going to mix the two, because now it's kind of flat. So what happens if we kind of merge these two together with some sort of blend? Let's see what happens if we do this. So I like the dot effect of it, and I want to see whether I can't get that to come in here a little bit. Yeah, that's a bit better, because it's kind of picking up on those dot things. And then what I want to do is I want to take this, now that I've got this kind of picking up on those dots, to see whether I can't use a level node here in Substance Designer. Plus, we've already got it for grayscale. I'm just going to go straight from this one and see whether I don't want to mess around with this one until I'm kind of sort of sure that I like it. And I kind of want to set up a bigger difference between what's going on with those dots and what's happening with everything else. And then I don't want them super shiny like that, but I will kind of pull the whole thing up. And that's this here. And we're now, I'm going to hold down the Shift key, and this will allow me just to replace whatever's been in there. It'll just pull it into that node for me. Yeah, this is giving me more variety in my surface. And then I want to still maybe a bit too shiny. So let's get this one a bit more matte. And then let's see what happens if we move that metal vein slider up and down. And there we go. So we have it coming up in spots, just like we wanted to. Looks pretty nice. So I'm pretty happy with that. I think I'm going to call that done. I hope your material you are happy with as well. Again, you know, this kind of thing, it's really impossible to really replicate what you're doing because it's just so touchy-feely. But this is the kind of workflow that I use to make these kinds of hand-painted materials. I think I would probably go back. I don't know if it bothers me or not, but I think overall, when you pull back just a little bit, I'm pretty happy with it. So we'll leave it there, and I'll see you in the next one.